Now,
Oh, I
before I
love
get
it.
into Darkness Calling, I do want to talk a little bit. Actually, I do want to talk about Darkness Calling at first because it's a music collective that brings forth to your ears, a lot of good independent bands, and that's what I'm all about. Can you tell me a little bit about the origins of Darkness Calling? I know it's a collective
Absolutely.
of people, and I think Ryan was the first one I talked to. I think.
Yes. So yeah. So it was actually Ryan's originally. So I was just a fan. Like he just added me at like the very, very, very beginning of Darkness Calling, and I was a fan.
Love
And
it.
then we became friends, and we realized, we're both super dorks that had a lot in common, and so we became really close. And then he knew that I had this just encyclopedic knowledge of like goth and post punk and like a lot of like Japanese music, and he's like, hey, do you want to be a contributor? So I was like, obviously. So I started with writing interviews and writing album reviews. And he's like, you have a knack for this. Do you want to be like the other half of Darkness Calling? And I'm like, absolutely. And then so it kind of spiraled from there. And then I don't want to do this anymore. I want to
Mhm.
give this to you. And he told this to me like the day after we had our first ever Darkness Calling festival. And so after that, it was just like, oh my God, it's such an honor. So now it's just me and I'm doing it all. So
Damn.
I'm super excited. I love it. I love it. It's so much work, but honestly, like I love it so much. I get to work with so many amazing people. I get to experience such amazing new music and just get to do like some really cool stuff. So it's been an absolute blessing. It's been an absolute blessing.
That's so fucking cool. And I think that's when I talked to Ryan is when he was giving up the role right after the festival. And I think it was the
Yeah.
festival that really captured my attention because these are things that I want to do now that I'm here in Portland. In LA, I left it to everyone else and just attended. So, I mean, what a role. One of the rewarding things you said, it's a lot of fucking work. Trust me. Focus, focus. That's where Michelle wants to put up at the front is queer POC people that are into dark music, post punk and
Yes,
whatnot.
exactly, exactly. As a trans person, as a
Mm,
queer person, as someone who, because let's be real, like the goth, the kind of dark wave kind of music collectives have always traditionally been cis men.
mhm.
And it's like okay, now it's my turn, and I want to make sure that people of color, that queer people, that trans people, that non-binary people all have a chance to be seen, to be heard. Especially now, it's so important where so many trans voices and trans spaces and queer voices and spaces are being erased. And it's like, no, I want to
Yeah.
celebrate you. I want to put you up. I want to make sure that people hear you, see you, believe in you, because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to make sure that everyone gets a chance to eat, because that's what I'm
Yeah.
about. I want everyone to be able to eat.
That's the same. And that's where it goes into like the indie bands especially. Um, the benefits of this is the fact that we can use our platform to give voice to, you know, uh, you, people who are just being attacked on the daily basis in
Absolutely.
legislations by politicians, by conservatives, and this gives them a safe space, and that's what I've always been about. And it's always because what is goth if it's not fucking weird and off-putting to the normal people?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I've always found that, like, I went to, what show was I at the other day? Comic Christ. I went to go see Comic Christ, right? And in Portland, because, and we'll talk about the spring of goth, like treasure trove that we all just happened to fall into, the time that we are living in. Sometimes it's
Right?
trash,
It's
and sometimes it's like,
amazing.
what? But like I was at Comic Christ the other day, and you could tell, even though they didn't read like the promotion, because I always read promotions, that it said old school set only. So the metalheads were there. And Jay, you know what it's like going to a metal show. I remember going to like Calabrese. There's just these giant fucking cis men that want to hurt people in the
Yes.
pit. And
Yes.
so it's like I've had all nothing but good experiences here in Portland. Nothing but good, but I was definitely feeling that toxic masculine energy
Oh,
until,
absolutely.
until Andy's fine ass came on stage, and I just could not. stop shaking myself because I was like, God, I have, and this is a confession I've been wanting to make all week. I'm going to make it here with Jay. I have an
Yes,
issue.
please.
My toxic trait is I will sit here and talk all this shit about white people, but the first ones that I'm like taking my panties off and throwing it at are white men. And it's not just white men, it's like the Norwegian men, Irish, with the accent.
Oh my God, that reminds me. I saw Emperor and Borknagar and Pekka of Norwegian black metal in like 1999, and
Yeah.
they're like the tiniest, like little tiniest
Oh,
little
really?
things. Oh my God, they're so little. And I was like, you know what? I was like, I will let you climb me like a tree, sir.
Right.
Okay, because you are. Oh, oh.
Like, I will do anything. So yeah, at least
It's
thank
like,
the
look, your little
goddesses.
like 5'4" ass, get over here, okay? It's like you are so tiny. Come over here,
True.
please.
I just would say I'm just gonna put you inside me. That's what I'll stick you in there and just leave you.
Like, I am an oak tree. You can climb me, sir. Okay, thank you.
I'm
Thank you.
about it. But it's so fair. It's just one of those things that it's like people are like, damn, but also you're with my partner's white. And it's all his fault that I'm like really into like the Viking type of. I just love. I've always been this way. It's a whole thing. But my son called me a hypocrite because he's like, you talk all this shit, but you're the first one who was like throwing your panties at David Harbour in Violent Night.
Like literally, like Isan from Emperor. I was like, sir, sir,
I come here.
you need to come and pay me a visit, sir. I like literally. I'm like 18 years old, and I'm like, just sir, come
That's
over,
okay,
here and
Jay.
have a talk with me.
I showed Rob Zombie my titties at 18, so
That's amazing.
and he pointed at him, and I was like, "Fuck yeah!" Okay, focus. Now,
And
me.
and scene.
But back to Darkness Calling, it's so fucking cool. The work that you put in astounds me. Just know it does not ever go unnoticed.
And that makes my heart so happy because it's like a full-time job. It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah, and that's what I don't think people realize, that they don't understand the time that it takes to put in. And plus, I have a puppy now, so I'm grateful for the fact that I'm outside all the time because now I can listen to new bands. And it seems like Darkness Calling does put a huge focus on independent bands.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Which is fantastic. So let's talk about like those experiences. To me, they were the same kind of rock star as Robert Smith. I once told I have a story. It was between 2002 and 2005 that The Cure headlined, and it was one of those like flashback to the 80s type of thing. And I just remember, like, I had this whole experience. I'm not going to share the story, but it was a whole story. But it was one of those things where I was like, I'm never going to go see The Cure again. It wasn't their fault, but it
Yeah.
was just the experience that I had. And I thought, okay, well, I'm done. I saw this band. They're going to die soon. But the thing is, I ended up seeing Robert Smith backstage at this tremendous festival, and he was trashed and playing the piano. And it was that moment. It was one of the profound moments that just to have had that experience. He didn't have to say anything to me. It was just perfect, and that's music. But I do treat independent bands the same way.
Oh my God, me too.
So
Me too.
who was the last band that you talked to? Who was the last one? And were you any kind of starstruck?
Oh God, the last one that I was starstruck. Oh my God, that's a good question. Because I'm like everybody, even my friends, and I'm like,
Same.
oh my God. That I was really starstruck. That's a really good question. I'm trying to think who I was like really. Oh, Contravoid.
Oh,
So I actually met him at the Nuevo Testamento show, and it was funny because he was like outside with a bunch of people, and my friend Darren on Blood Handsome and I were outside, and he was like, dude, like Contravoid's here, and he didn't have his mask on, he was just totally normal dude. And I went over and I was so nervous and awkward. And I'm like, I'm a really big fan of yours. Oh my God. And I was like literally, like, just like freaking the fuck out. And he was so sweet and he was so nice and just so humble. And I literally thought I like horrified him. And he was like, who the fuck is this person? Like, why are they so weird? But So the rest of the night I went off and like went to this, went over and like sat by myself, and him and his girlfriend actually sat next to me the rest of the night. So I was like, clearly I didn't make a super bad impression. So definitely Contra-Boy. Like I was like super like, oh my God. Like, but he was just the nicest, most down to earth, like most chill dude. So definitely starstruck.
I love it. That was me with, and this is what I love too about when I get to interview bandmates, and it's usually the front person of every band, because I'm like, oh my God, don't flirt, Michelle. Do not say anything about what they do to your vagina. Do not say anything that's going to make them off-putting. But mine was the last, and I'm hoping to get Matt Black on the show, in April, because I'm obsessed with Matt Black, and they're from out of San Diego. I love everything coming out of San Diego. And but it was Jonathan Horstman from Urban Heat, and this was about May of last year, and we actually exchanged numbers, and he called and left a voicemail, and I'm going, oh my God, his voice. There's no, like, I almost canceled the interview, and I'm like, this dude is married. Like, there's no way I'm going to get through this interview without objectifying him. Turns out we ended up talking. This is what I do. I end up getting like, Ruby Lester, Devin from Ruby Lester told me that I have this way of disarming people in a good way, where we end up talking about the impact of music, the way that we feel music as musicians, as I don't have any musical talent other than my extensive knowledge. So yeah, we ended up talking about like his experience and his journey to becoming sober, and now that lust that I had, it faded, because it was like, now I see him as the golden, like, ethereal creature that he is. So I just have to get, and it feels so good, but that's where it's like, you want to be able to talk to them. Sometimes they're not that, honestly, I've never met a goth band person that has ever given me a pretentious vibe, even when I was in
Oh, absolutely. Like usually like I'm like, you're just as big of a dork as I am. That's awesome.
Yeah, which is what I fucking love. So let's talk about your influences, Jay. We talked about, like, we're on the cusp, we're like in between Gen Z and millennials, and I used to hang around. Yeah, Gen X, sorry.
Gen X, yeah.
Not Gen Z, because we're not that cool. But
yeah, and not that young, sadly.
Yeah, not that. I don't know. I like being 40 in my 40s. It's pretty cool, because I feel like I'm living out my teenage young adult self right now without any
I know.
bullshit.
I actually feel more myself in my 40s than I ever did in my teens, 20s, or 30s. Like I feel like my actual whole authentic self now.
Yes, it's crazy, and
I love that so much.
My parents were like, "Your life is over," and I remember thinking, "God, if life ends at 40, ew." And I just remember how miserable they were, and I think to myself, maybe if she would have actually used lotion or sunscreen, you know. I don't get along with that person. So yeah, influences. Let's, we came out of the 80s as children.
Yes.
And the 90s, Gen Xers would say, oh, well, the 90s was the hangover of a legendary generation of music. I call bullshit. The 90s had some great stuff.
Oh, and it really did.
It was, I'd say the 2000 to 2000, the 2000s to me was the hangover for music. Especially alternative goth, rock, any alternative music was trash to me. A lot of it was trash, but that gave birth to the emo, thing.
And it was kind of that segue into the rebirth almost of goth again.
Right? So what were your early influences?
So I was very lucky. My parents were both weird, and then they had weird friends. So it's like lucky. I grew up with Susie and the Banshees. I grew up with Bauhaus. I grew up with Skinny Puppy. I grew up with, new wave and post-punk. And so for me, like The Cure, Depeche Mode, like I grew up with this stuff. This was on the radio. This was on MTV. This was in my house. This is what my parents' friends were listening to. This is what I was listening to. One of my earliest memories is listening to, Depeche Mode on the radio, or listening to like Susie and the Banshees on MTV. Ugh. Like I remember this, and I have like old Susie records from like when I was a kid. Like, so this is this is, it's been basically my whole life. And then I started going to, goth clubs and goth shows in like the mid 90s. And it was just such a different experience. And it really just kind of, and then I'd say about 96, I started really getting into visual K music. So it was like Duran Gray and Malice Miser and all these bands that I still to this day absolutely adore. And that's one of the things that I wanted to bring to Darkness Calling was my love of Japanese goth and Japanese visual K music, because I feel like it's one of those things where it's so overlooked that especially in goth, that people of color and especially bands that aren't singing in English really get passed over. And I'm like, oh no, we're gonna put them front and center. I want people to understand that you are missing out on some amazing music. So
that's
this has been like my whole life has just been post-punk and new wave and goth, and so it's just clearly not a phase.
Mom, it was never a phase. I think that's fucking incredible. That is, I'm envious, but I'm also like, this is what I love doing because I can connect with like-minded souls. It's absolutely beautiful. And on the fact that, or on the point of bringing in, goth music from all over the world, it's easy. And I'll get shit from, a lot of white listeners. Actually, they don't say anything. They just unfollow me and call me divisive.
Oh, same.
They don't say, which is fine. But it's funny how, think about this for a second. It's real interesting how well embraced She Passed Away, Lebanon, Hanover, Molchat Doma have all been embraced here in the States, right?
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
This is something that I've been wanting to talk to you about, and I'll just make it public, Jay. And I'm really serious about this. It's something I wanted to talk to you about and a few DJs up and down the coast. Not saying that you're a DJ, but I want to bring Stranger Lovers and I want to sponsor or somehow get them on a West Coast tour, because
that would be amazing.
They are, look, I get the chills when I listen to Stranger Lovers. They are astounding. And the hang up was when I talked to Axel last year, I never posted that interview. Things got weird last year. But he told me that the hang up is he wants to get more, he wants to get Stranger Lovers in front of more people in the States. And I'm thinking, why is this such a problem when we have, and he said it's a language barrier, because their first albums were not in English. He said that they were, but it was more like a lot of moaning and made up things. And he's like, it doesn't sound weird. I go, whatever the fuck you're saying or doing makes my pussy wet. And I love it. Like, there's something about his voice, and there's something about the synth and the guitar. There's just one of the most perfect and influential post-punk bands. And they just opened for Pink Turns Blue a few weeks ago in Mexico City. So I'm thinking, why is it so hard? And again, this band deserves to be heard all over the place. I'll even include some of their music in this episode. How do we get them up here? How do we do a West Coast tour where they'll be embraced? And I'm wondering, why is it so hard for their music to get recognized when we have other international bands? It's because these are white international bands.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately.
And I think that's a big thing too, is that especially with Asian bands and especially Japanese, is that, oh, well, I don't understand it. I'm like, I'm sorry, do you speak Turkish? Do you understand
Rammstein, German? Right?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, for me, I will literally sit here and talk to you all day long about Duran Gray and how much I love them, and I think they are one of the best bands that has ever existed in the history of life. And truly, like, Kyo, the vocalist, he is one of the most incredible vocalists I have ever heard in my entire life. His range is incredible. He is talented, and I don't understand why they aren't as popular. I mean, yeah, they're more popular in like the quote unquote like metal kind of, but they're not a metal band. And that's the thing that I think people need to understand, is that they have always been a visual K band that had some metal elements, and they've strongly been going back to their roots. And that's why it's so important that I'm like, hey, like, here are some amazing bands. Like, here's one, Soft Ballet. They were a Japanese dark wave band that sound exactly like Depeche Mode.
Yeah.
Exactly. They are the Japanese version of Depeche Mode. And I'm like, and literally, I can't tell you how many times I've had people DM me and be like, I can't believe I've never heard this band. They're amazing. Oh my God, it's so good. And I'm like, exactly, because I feel like people give Japanese bands or bands that don't speak English a pass because, oh, I don't understand it. I don't
Yeah.
understand it. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I want to bring that right to the front. I want people to understand that this is amazing music that you are missing out on. And goth is not just white men.
Right.
Period.
It is everything. To me, goth music is the universe. It is nature.
Yes.
It comes from the darkest places, within souls, within but it's a beautiful darkness,
It
isn't
is.
something, it's not for everyone, which that's something I'm grateful for.
Yeah, exactly. Same. Like, I am okay with that. I am okay with that. But it's like I feel like people kind of have this especially like younger people now, they kind of have this image of like what goth should be or what goth is. And I'm like, oh honey, no.
You have no clue. And
No. Exactly.
make it colorful, but still, black,
Yes,
with wearing all black.
exactly.
And so,
Exactly.
you're absolutely right. We should be, K-pop is making a big, is floating on over here, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, we need to make sure, and this is a challenge that I wanted to do a challenge with Pretty Frankenstein, Grace Star. Her and I were going to do, and I am going to hold DJs accountable for this. It's just, time, but we wanted to ensure that they're playing not just the same old shit all the time, which, we all need our foundational things. But I do think it is important for a lot of goth like Gray, Jay, and Michelle. And, just musicians out there, people, audiophiles, people who know this music, incorporate something new into their weekend sets. Like, it's not that hard to just give it a try and see the reaction. And then when you see the reaction and you get some Gen Xer in there who's like, oh, play Love and Rockets, man.
Exactly. I'm like, you do understand that there's more than just Bauhaus, Sisters of Mercy, and like Susie. Like, you do understand that like there are other bands.
Exactly. So it is very important. This is why I'm so drawn to Darkness Calling, and I hope my listeners figure this out too. I've shared your playlist. I've done, and I need to do more, but I just want to be in whatever you're doing.
Oh, please. Yeah, like literally, please. It is an honor. And I would love to have you on board for everything. And that's the thing is that there's a band. Oh my God. Okay. I've got to shamelessly plug them. They are amazing. They're called Sex Virgin Killer. They are incredible female-fronted post-punk goth band from Japan. They just put out a new single, The Lights Will Fall. It's out on Spotify right now. It's on Bandcamp. I just put it on the Darkness Calling playlist. It is an incredible, incredible song. I am obsessed with it. I am sorry. As an old, that is my fault. But anyway.
Same. Go ahead. That's what editing's for.
As a couple of olds, we apologize for that technical difficulty. But anyway, so back to Sex Virgin Killer. They are amazing. They are, like I said, they are a female-fronted Japanese goth post-punk band. They just have a new single that they have a single that just came out. It is incredible. I've been playing it nonstop on repeat for like the past 3 days. It is incredible. Highly, highly, highly recommended. And it's on the Darkness Calling playlist today. So
perfect. I'm putting it, and we'll go ahead and include it in the episode.
Yay!
So perfect. Here's some Sex Virgin Killer. And especially for Jay, some Duran Gray.
I love music so much. It is literally a huge part of my life. I listen to music from the time I get up till the time I go to bed. And it is literally, it's my every single day, my whole life. And while I myself am not a musician, I appreciate music. I have an extensive knowledge. I love it so much. And I just, my love of just sound and music and creation, it's just mind-boggling. I love it. Give me music, some books, my plants, and I'm happy. Like, I'm good to go. I am good to go. I am set for life. Like, I am good. Now,
we were talking about men who are into their own music. They only have their set playlist or whatnot. We all know that guy at the club, right?
Oh yes. Oh
You
yes.
know, we all know who he is. But you know what's
Yes.
funny is here we are. I legit, again, I'm not going to go into my whole Cure story, but I swore in 2016 when they were in LA, I was still in LA at the time, and they were playing at the Hollywood Bowl in 2016. I was like, I ain't going, shit. I ain't going. I saw the Cure, you know, I'm good. And I honestly regret it because actually I don't regret it because thanks to this year. I have a really good friend who's an elder goth, and she was like, come on, just go. You know, she told me, I remember her telling me, even just this week, reminding me how she got tickets for like $75 at the Hollywood Bowl for, you know, the Cure. And then I
Yeah.
was thinking about my experience seeing Depeche Mode at the Hollywood Bowl, and it wasn't great. For some reason, the sound wasn't great up in the nosebleed seats that I had at the time. And I thought, okay, well, you know, I'll see Depeche Mode again. So what happened was this year, as most goths know, there is the surge of foundational bands deciding, hey, we're going to come rock your spring. And I'm so grateful for that. I hate the fucking heat. I'm not going to Cruel World. I love you, Susie, but I did see her at one of those weenie roasts when Morrissey canceled and she and Billy Idol got longer sets because of his ass. That was great. I wish I could go for just her set, but Michelle cannot do festivals under the blazing sun at the Rose Bowl. Are you going
Oh,
to Cruel
I
World?
am. I am
Okay.
because I didn't go to Cruel World last year just because I saw most of those bands
Yeah, yeah.
and I was like, you know what, I've seen them, it's fine. But then the last time I saw Susie was in 1999. I saw her front row with the Creatures at this
Woo!
like little tiny little club in Baltimore, and like you know, I was like, it was mind blowing. Oh
Woo!
my god,
Pluto
like
Drive is
magical.
like one of my anthems.
Oh,
I
I
love it.
because it was for the Anima Animus record that they put out. It was like right before
Yes.
they, and I was like, oh my god, like magical. And I literally, my ticket was $20
Oh
to see Susie for $20
my
front row in
God.
1999. Like what is my life?
You're
What
like,
is
what?
my life?
You're like, I can't beat this until Cruel
Right?
World.
And so like literally I was in like I literally was like, I don't care how much the tickets are for Cruel World. If I have to sell a vital organ, I am going to see Susie, god damn it. I don't care.
I
I will
was
sell
really,
my fucking body parts.
I
Okay.
was, yeah, I would too. That's why I posted that thing yesterday. Like a lot of goths are considering, you know, making that OnlyFans account. And I'm like, that's why I've been doing it, bitches. Concert tickets. Hello.
Are
But
expensive.
yeah, right. But you know, the thing is, I haven't paid. Okay, no, we did pay a shit ton of tickets for Post Malone, but that was for one of our kids. Um, you know, I was like, oh, I'm not going to go to stadium shows anymore. I was being a total snob and a gatekeeping whore. And so they were like, oh, Cruel World, because I bought tickets to the first Cruel World. We know what happened. Then I bought
Yeah.
tickets to last year's Cruel World Festival in 2021. And then I realized, Michelle, you live in Portland now. You can't be doing all this stuff. So, and plus I had seen a lot of the bands too. But then,
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah.
now there's this spring, and I think it was Sisters of Mercy first that, you know, I heard about everyone bitching about Depeche Mode tickets, and I was like, yeah, fuck Dave. You know, I'm not going
Yeah,
to pay
I'm
that much.
sorry. I love Depeche Mode, but there's no fucking way I'm gonna pay that kind of money. Like, I'm
Like,
sorry.
I want to know, and we'll get to that here in a minute. I want to know how he feels now that Robert Smith is sticking up for fans.
That man, Robert Smith is like, he is a literal actual perfect angel, and
Right?
I will fist fight anybody that says otherwise.
Right? I
Yes.
will fucking hurt anyone. I just
I
saw a
that
thing,
man that man needs to be protected at all costs. Thank
right?
you. Thank you
And
for coming to my TED Talk. Thank
and
you.
yeah, did everyone hear it? Oh, and this is where I'm picturing him again with his humble, sweet smile on that stage at that fucking weenie roast in no, it wasn't a weenie roast, Flash Inland Invasion in K Rock. Yeah, one of those. So yeah, Sisters of Mercy was like, hey, we're gonna play a show. And I'm going, no, the fuck you're not. You know the fuck you're not. You know, I've always wanted to just like scream at a Sisters of Mercy show. Andrew Eldritch is goth. Maybe I'll make a shirt.
Mm-hmm.
But I've
He
also
is.
heard I also heard that they suck on stage, like not the
That's what I heard
music.
too.
So I'm thinking, do I want to go to LA for this? But then lo and behold, Portland show pops up. And then not only did Sisters of Mercy pop up, fucking Skinny Puppy popped up, Common Christ Covenant, um, who else? And now The Cure. So I have, you know, I have my little list of bands that I'm seeing in Portland, and there's a lot of romance to it because I love seeing, or there's certain bands like The Cure that I have to listen to in certain places, and Seattle was one of them. So I'm going to Seattle to see the Cure play, and it's romantic for me because I would always listen to the Cure as a teen, and while it rained, when it used to rain
Oh,
in
that's
California once in a while.
amazing. That's
So when I
amazing.
first went to Seattle, I had to listen to the Cure, and we were just driving through the streets. It was pouring, and there's nothing like listening to a forest or, prayers for rain in the rain. So, or
Oh,
Sing Deep Water
that is
is You.
so beautiful.
Yeah, so there go the goosebumps. I'm so stoked. But that wasn't so here's me thinking, okay, I'm gonna, do my little job, and I'm gonna get these tickets. And here's me like, why? And legit, that meme that I posted with Nick Cage, and I know it's viral, when Pedro Pascal was literally
Oh
my
yes.
face. Like going, I have to register to get on a wait list to do what?
I know, because I was freaking out because I was like, oh my God, these tickets are going to be like fucking $200.
But we got to go back to Robert Smith.
Oh yes, 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 please,
I forgot.
yes.
So where were we at? We were talking about the ticket prices. Like I was expecting $250 plus.
Yeah.
There was no way that I, paid I think I paid like $250 for Post Malone for 3 people, $250 each.
Oh my God.
We're still paying that
God.
part off. He's he's not post punk or anything, but he's so fucking cute. And it was such a good show. Like, I've always liked his music. I thought it was cool, but I never knew anything really about him, but I was obsessed with him at the show. Like, he was adorable. Like,
oh, that's so cute. I love that.
But yeah, I'm thinking, okay, well, we're gonna have to, good thing I have titty money, because this is gonna go towards the Cure. So after that hellish, stressful registration process that happened, the week before?
Oh God, yes.
We got in, and they were like, oh yeah, that was a strenuous process in itself. Telling me to pick 3 shows. So I feel bad for LA folks who were like, Hollywood Bowl 3 times.
Exactly, literally. And I literally was in the queue for all 3 of them. Like, I was literally in all 3. Yes! I was in because I was like, I don't care what I have to do. I'm gonna get a goddamn ticket. Hear me out, right? I'm getting a ticket no matter what.
Yeah, I was determined. And it's funny because I was like trying to prepare myself, Michelle, like, if they're too expensive, you can't do it. You can't be upset. You'll just, I did that for Rammstein one year, where I didn't buy the tickets when I should have. It got sold out, but we ended up buying tickets last minute. Got the best seats of our life. Still expensive, but it was worth it. But this one, when Wednesday came, I had already made my memes like, this is gonna suck. And it did. I mean, I kept getting kicked out of that queue on Wednesday.
Literally, it took me like an hour to get tickets.
Same. It was about a little over an hour, and I had started, working, if my air quotes, and I had my partner. I was like, look, I remember he was the one, we were trying to get Bauhaus tickets in 2019. And both him and I were on, our phones, laptops, and iPads, making sure, because I was in LA at the time. I was like, it's going to sell out. It's going to sell out. Peter Murphy's going to die. I'm never going to see Bauhaus, because that was I didn't get to see them in 98 at the Palladium like I wanted to.
I got to see them in New York in 2005.
Oh, that's so bad to have. That's so cool. But, with this process, my partner went ahead and just texted me, got your tickets. And I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. Now, they aren't the greatest seats. Like, we're not going to be up close, but I've had that experience with the Cure before. But the fact that it took that long, and the process was insane. And then, did you get all the news yesterday how Robert Smith is getting Ticketmaster to refund some people?
Yes. He's a literal angel. We need to protect him at all costs.
That is so fucking amazing. I don't know. I didn't ever get an email. I just saw the tweet. So let's talk about your Cure 2023. What is this? The Twilight Sad tour?
Yeah, Twilight Sad and the Cure.
Oh, so excited.
I am so excited. Like, this is going to be my first time ever seeing the Cure. Because like I said, I've seen Bauhaus, I've seen Susie, I've seen like all the big, but I've never seen the Cure, because it's like every time they came around, I either was broke as hell, or I was busy, or I wasn't in town, or whatever. And so it was just like, so now I was like, I am determined. That man is over 60. I need to get tickets like today, because who knows? I was like, I don't know how many good years he has left.
Well,
I need to give
yeah.
him while I can.
And I think that's, I mean, here's me and my mentality. I'm looking at this beautiful plethora of new post-punk bands coming out that, I talked to John, Urban Heat frontman Jonathan Horseman about this. I feel like, or even Darius from Haunt Me, I can't remember which one, but probably all of them, because I bring this up a lot. It seemed like, a lot of goth gatekeepers, and I was one of them in the early, let's say 2010-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember hearing Cold Cave, and I was like, this is new, but it sounds old and it's
Yes.
new, and I love it. Like,
Yes.
oh my God. So Cold Cave was the first band that I had experienced that sounded like the bands of, the 80s, the founding members. So then all of a sudden, the last couple of years, or even throughout, I don't know, the last couple of years, for some reason, it's exploded with this new, and most of them are indie bands, this new goth scene, this post-punk music, and they're doing it
Yes.
right. I have yet to find a band that's not doing it right. And it's hard to say right, because it's old, but it's new, but it's perfect. And so they were like, I'm wondering, like, I remember talking to Dusty from Vision Video and going, I feel like Robert Smith should pass the torch to you, because Dusty's fucking voice is wonderful.
Oh, it's incredible. It's
And
incredible.
He was like, and has the personality to match. And he's like, oh my God, that's such a compliment. I wonder, they must know about what's going on. Like Robert Smith, Peter Murphy, Susie Evans. Did I say Sisters of Mercy already? Andrew Eldritch is getting in on this. Fucking Skinny Puppy saying this is the last one forever. I have to buy resale tickets for that. Even Covenant coming, I mean, they play frequently though. But to me, it's like, first of all, it's a gift. But I'm also wondering how they feel about, this new wave of post-punk that's fucking wonderful. It's a gift to all of us, goths. So I wonder what they feel like.
I hope that they feel honored, and I hope that they feel like, hey, we've paved the way, because they have. Because shout out to one of my dear friends, Bleached Heat. He is an amazing post-punk artist from Vancouver Island. Like, his stuff is absolutely incredible, and it's perfect. It truly encapsulates that like 80s sound, and it is so fucking flawless. Like, Stevie, you're the fucking best. Like, shout out, man, you are the fucking best. Like, his music is incredible, and he just signed on with Hush Limited, my friend Darren's record label. So I mean, how amazing is that? It's just all coming together. It's amazing.
Congratulations. And that's where, I really do hope, first of all, this feels like a gift and a thank you to the founding people of post-punk, like The Cure, the people that are playing this year, and doing it in spring so we don't die in the summer. And I hope they know that we appreciate it. And that's where I'm like, obviously Robert Smith does, because that's what goth is being about. People think we're mean. I mean, we are. We're moody as fuck, but also, especially, and I am knocking a bit of the LA scene, but it wasn't very loyal. It wasn't very community friendly. And I'll bring up a story too that comes, and I'm glad that you have your friends, Jay, hold them close, keep them, you have the love of music, but I love the goth community up here in Portland. Is unlike anything I've ever imagined. Everyone has welcomed me in like I was supposed to be here all along. And so, and also too, they don't give me any shit when I have to flake. I got a lot of shit in LA for, I can't make it to this because I don't feel good, or, I got a lot of shit. Now, don't get me wrong. I have tons and tons of LA friends that I adore and love. And, we're still maintaining our connection, but it's just the community itself doesn't feel like this in a sense. Although,
and fortunately, and you're right. No, and I'll touch on that when you're done. But yes, continue. Okay. I'm so sorry. Yes.
No, keep going, because I want to talk about like Drag House and
yes, please,
like that.
Yes, thank you. So that's
like a lot of those stories.
So that's something that I'm very grateful for, that the friends that I have and the artists and bands that I'm friends with are so supportive and are so like-minded. And that's why we stick together. And because there is such a toxic, disgusting
Mhm.
kind of just hidden his secret within the goth community here, and it's like allowing abusers, allowing
Mhm.
people that espouse hate, allowing people that are anti-trans, that are anti-queer, and I'm like, I'm sorry, no, 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 no. That's why I
Mhm.
am so vocal with Darkness Calling about, no, this is a queer trans run collective.
Mhm.
We do not allow any bullshit at our shows anywhere, no matter what we do. No, I'm sorry, that is not okay. Like
Mhm.
we are not about that. I want everyone to feel safe, to feel
Yes.
welcome. If you know, because that's what the goth scene was. Because
Right.
that's what it used to be. It used to be a safe place where people could come together and feel like they had a sense of belonging and a sense of community. Not this, well, if you come to a BDSM club, you expect to get assaulted. Fuck
I
you. Yeah, but that's the thing, is that I'm sorry, that is not what the goth scene is about. That is
Mhm.
not what the club scene is about. And if anybody knows anything about BDSM, that is not what BDSM is about. Hello,
That's what I'm
excuse me.
saying. It's so like, how hard is it not only to just let people live their lives, however loudly, colorful, queer, what the fuck ever, but also consent. For the first time, um, ever, it was in Portland where someone or said, "Oh shit, I hugged you. I should have asked for consent." And I was like, "Oh my God, thank you," because I will give free hugs. And,
Oh yeah.
and sometimes I think, one of the goals this year is to be more of a listener and to ask for physical contact. But it
Yes,
doesn't seem
yes.
like, that's something that a lot of humans aren't used to, but to sit there out there and put it, because I saw that too. And that's where I'm going, this isn't me. I'm sick and tired. And I know there's a lot of toxicity, because I think a whole TikTok just came out where they totally called out a club promoter in LA that's known to roofie women. And, people in a certain club, I'll forward that to you. And so LA was toxic. I remember going to, I had already decided that I wasn't going to go to Bar Sinister anymore.
Oh
Um,
yeah, same. We can talk
because,
on that. Yeah,
yeah, I
because
used to go
we've
all the
talked about
time.
that. We've talked about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did. And I was like, this is bullshit. But I really feel like that's the only place where I was ever altered without my consent, because of,
Yeah.
what happened to me after I got home. I'm grateful that, and this is what it made me think. This is why, I get irritated bringing my partner around, because he's annoying sometimes, a lot of the time. And he's like, oh, I'm tired. Can we go home? And I'm like, no. But I bring him around because he's actually more observant. He takes care of, like, he's like my personal security guard,
Yeah.
because I will be in that moment and I'm oblivious, and people take advantage of that all the
Oh,
time.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
he lets me be, some people, it's not like a controlling thing. I've learned to realize what he's doing is giving me the freedom to enjoy myself without having to look around or look over my shoulder. So it's a privilege that I have. And I'm grateful for that. Not to say I don't go out with friends, but the friends here are fucking badass and will stab a bitch. Because the community is so deep into everything. And the other thing I notice is people up here, again, at like Coffin Club, I love going to Coffin Club, and there's other places that I'll highlight later. Is that it's women. Most of the women are running the show. It's mostly women and queer people running promotions. It's so, to me, that gives a little bit of, makes me feel a little bit more comfortable. But then I go back to, well, Trisha LaBelle is a piece of shit. So um, I
Yeah,
guess it
like,
doesn't always
yeah.
matter, but it's just it's really sad and it sucks. Have you done anything? And let's say, I know Darkness Calling is well, you go all over the world, but I'm wondering, like, what is the San Diego goth scene like? And the Inland Empire decided, oh, we're gonna have a whole community after I moved.
Yeah, like, honestly, I don't go to San Diego very often unless
Okay.
there's a show,
Mm,
and it's usually, like, one of Garen's shows or, like, one of my friends playing, but it's just because it's, like, it's far, and I
mm,
hate driving, like, 2
yeah.
hours, like, and then with traffic, and it's nothing. I love San Diego, it's beautiful, one of my
Mm,
best friends lives there. It's nothing, it's just far,
yeah.
but the one thing I have noticed is that the vibe there is just so welcoming, it's so
Okay.
awesome, like, I've never had a problem, I've never had. But it's just like, I'll give an example. I went and saw Forever Grey and Soft Fane and This Cold
Woo!
Night at the beginning of the month, and unfortunately had an incident, and I have never felt so unsafe that
Oh
I did that
wow.
night. And I literally, Justin was from Softing, I literally had to, like, after he got off his set, like, I literally, with my friend and I, had to stand at his merch table the rest of the night. And, you know, Justin's a friend of mine, so it wasn't a problem, but it was like, I shouldn't have to
Mm-hmm.
worry or feel like myself, my friend, that our bodies are in danger, we're in danger, because people can't fucking control themselves.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, it was so triggering and so upsetting. I mean, I literally spent the rest of the week just like trying to process stuff because it was so scary and so
Yeah.
terrifying. And like, I couldn't enjoy the show because I was on such high alert,
Mm-hmm.
trying to protect myself and my friend the whole night.
See,
Like, it was just,
it's so, and we're really, all we're out to do is enjoy the fucking music, to feel unsafe. And this is why, we have enough shit to be afraid of. We have
exactly.
viruses. We have fucking Republicans and conservatives and shit that we've got to fight already. Let us have our breathing moment. I think a lot of
Exactly.
it too is, and I noticed by doing sex work, is that goths, women, and especially people of color are fetishized, and we're fetishized,
Oh,
and we're not
absolutely.
respected as human beings, and that
Exactly.
people think they're entitled to harass, sexually assault us, and abuse, and the goths too, because even where I live, I'm just outside of Portland. I love it. It's very welcoming in some areas, but some areas, like, it's really funny. I'll be walking around with my family when we first moved here, and my kids aren't goth. They're
Yeah.
like, they're not, but everyone wears all black in this house, and I'm like, you guys are goth. They're all depressed. We're all just, but it's funny. But we get approached all the time with, like, oh, even as a family, like, we love your vibe, we love your style, and because we wear things that, like, my husband has a shirt that says, drink coffee and hail Satan from Blackcraft. And it's all the
That's
rage,
amazing.
you know? So we'll be going on these rural walks, and then, it's just, we'll either get the looks, and we'll get the holy water, the cross, or we'll get compliments. And
Yeah,
so,
same,
you
same.
know, it's just, but it also is scary, because how many times there's this man that walks around my neighborhood who's an old, but he won't look me in the eye when I talk to him. And I'm going, because he probably fucking it doesn't see me as a human being because
Yeah,
of the way I look, and I
exactly.
don't have a bra on. So, and I have really big
Yeah,
tits. So it's just, why can't I just exist the way he's existing with the one tooth in his mouth? I didn't fucking
exactly,
say.
exactly. Like, I can't tell you how many times it's like I've had people send me just horrific DMs, and I'm just like,
Mm.
excuse
Oh
me,
yeah.
like, I'm sorry. First of all, like, who the fuck do you think you are? And second of all, like, I am allowed to exist. I am allowed to be a person without having to get really disgusting, salacious comments and people like just treating me like an object. And especially when they find out that I'm trans, it's like,
Mhm.
ooh, ooh,
Yeah.
and then it becomes this whole like fetishized thing. I'm like, fuck you, dude. Like, stop it.
Yeah, they
Stop it.
they don't see us as human beings. They see us as something to use, abuse, and degrade. And you can get the most woke person in the goth scene, but that'll be the first person to expect some kind of sexual favor,
Exactly.
or allow a comment that isn't fucking funny. I can't even watch black
Exactly.
men comedians anymore because they're trash. And the fact that they're, I know we're supposed to be talking about music, but this is my show. But I
No,
can't
I
even
am happy
watch,
to talk about
like,
whatever.
right. I can't even watch, like, I've never loved stand-up comedy, but when a black man gets up there and starts, degrading trans people and making fun of and then you get this whole movement of what cisgender white people coming to, harass other trans people. I'm blaming those black comedians for not protecting. So that's where, and I'll circle this back to a lot of trans people love goth music. They love Robert Smith. Let's talk
Yes,
about the fact that there's all this. So he's here sticking up for his fans, all of them, not just one fucking kind. And he's
exactly.
sticking up not just against for his fans that he clearly fucking loves and is going fighting Ticketmaster for, taking a hit with money himself, I'm sure, to go, this isn't fair. This isn't how you treat people. Goth community, all over the place. I'm not going to just put it on LA. You guys need to wake the fuck up and let us
And
exist in our weirdness. It's a lot more fun.
and that's exactly why, and shameless promotion, I know, but that's exactly why I'm doing this
Mhm.
upcoming compilation. I'm doing two compilations. They're both Return of the Living Dead themed, but one's dropping on Pride Month, or I'm sorry, June 1st for Pride Month, and one's dropping on Halloween. And it's a completely LGBTQIA plus focused comp. So it's 90% queer and trans artists and a few amazing allies, because stuff like this needs to be in the spotlight. It needs to show that
Absolutely.
we are not going to be erased. We are not going to be silenced. And it is so important, because stuff like this, it matters. Representation matters,
Yes, it
and
does.
especially in the goth scene. So it's like, I have like almost 30 artists who are like, I want to be a part of this. This is amazing. And every single penny that gets raised goes to the
Mhm.
Trevor Project, because we have to stick together, and we have to make sure that our community feels safe, feels loved, feels welcome,
I love
because
it.
that is paramount to me. That is absolutely paramount, because at the end of the day, as a queer trans person, if I can't stand up for my own community, what the hell am I doing?
That's right. And that's the point. Plus, what you're doing is make way for the bands, because they're doing enough work by giving us, to me, they're the ones gifting us with their talent, their music,
Exactly.
solving,
Exactly.
breaking through depression, getting us through heartbreak, getting us through, everything that we endure beautifully. It also gives them that space to do what they do. And again, music is at the core of it all, because music heals. Music does everything, that drives, to me, the human spirit. And so it's all welcoming music. I just don't understand why we even have to have these particular. I shouldn't just, but I'm grateful for it. And, give me those details so I can make sure that I post, that, I'm posting and resharing. And I have bands that I would love to send your way for this festival. Like, I love what you do.
Thank
Like,
you. And like literally, like I love doing these charity
mhm,
compilations, because they mean so much, because it's like, it allows other people to hear bands that they might not have heard, and
mhm.
to give these bands a chance to really shine, and especially like indie bands or bands that really haven't made an audience yet. I'm like, I want you guys to eat.
Yeah,
I want you to shine. And especially, like, you're queer, you're trans, I got you, fam. I got you. Come and be on this compilation. I want you to shine, because this is your time now. This is your time. And it is a blessing. It is an absolute blessing.
right. It's like, it really is. I feel like a lot of goths in our age range, in
Yes,
our
thank you. That's a
level,
very nice way to put it.
I hate saying age range, but like in this moment of time where everything has been such shit and difficult and hard, the thing that hasn't been is artists. And they were the ones that got us through the pandemic just fine. It was like my goal to share everything that I fucking could, even though it didn't make any sense to anybody. It was just making sure that we could get through this as a species, even though we haven't. But it's going to
Exactly.
be, let's talk about Pluto Drive for a second. That's what I play because of what we're going through right now. And it started at the beginning of 2020 is there's a Pluto shift. There's this shift happening. It has to do with Saturn. I'm not going to, get all astrological,
Please
but
do.
this is a shift that is happening, to the subconscious, to every energy. And honestly, it's not going to get any better until the end of 2025. We have it's not, and that's, we'll see who makes it to the end of that, because there has
Yeah.
been a lot of death, but there's a whole lot more coming. And unfortunately, we have darker times to face before we can get out on the other side. But who's going to make it out to the other side are people who have done the work to heal through this shift. It's the opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
the opportunity was given to heal through this shift. That's why I think there's so many wonderful artists being, you know, that have been inspired to come out. Haunt Me, when I had interviewed Darius last year, they had only started in 2021. And by the time I interviewed them in the spring of 2022, they were tremendous already with a huge following. The music was loved. And, later on, just by interviewing them and just keeping that connection up in grace and respect, Darius dedicated Watch You Bleed to me when they played in Portland. I love
That's
that, you
amazing. That
know.
is amazing.
And see, it's just those little things. And I think that's the other part. Music isn't a little thing to me, but if you listen to a song, it might help you out better than a therapist can at that moment in time
Oh,
of your life.
absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
I have a friend who I connected with through music, more than a friend, I have to, you know, and part of the biggest reason why I'm doing this podcast, you know, focused on darker music, is because we were able to speak to each other, because sometimes, you know, he was voiceless, he couldn't speak, but we were able to speak through song. And you know, so just to have that kind of connection to me was a childlike, it was a childlike magical moment. Like, it was perfect. And even though the moment never lasted, it was still beautiful. It didn't last. It was still fucking awesome that that magic happened. And it was because of the songs that, especially that I was sharing, because it was all
Oh,
promoted and
absolutely,
everything.
absolutely. And I think people don't give music and how beneficial and how
Hmm.
important it actually is. I feel like people don't give it enough credit. I can't
I
tell you,
agree.
you know, music literally saved my life on so many occasions,
Oh,
and it helped me through some of my darkest times. And it's, you know, it's because of, and again, back to my love of Duran Gray. It's bands like Duran Gray that
mhm.
helped me get through some of my darkest times. And I am forever grateful for that.
I love
Forever
it.
grateful.
And this is our way of showing gratitude to, you know, these artists and musicians who had no idea. You know, one of my upcoming guests, we're saying yes, Matt Black. And I'll wrap up the show with this, is that the song Pure by Matt Black has, it really punctured through a really difficult moment, you know, as I was blooming in my hibernation of 2023 at the beginning. Um, and even with the pain that I was facing, I always end up starting the new year with a song, even though I don't pay attention to like New Year's Eve or anything.
Mhm.
But Pure, something about that song just stuck with me. So I know what you're saying, but it's also the lyric. There's the lyric that says, "I'm a liar to myself, and I'm allowed to forgive myself." Has been my affirmation since fucking December. You know, when
Oh,
winter really
I love
hit.
that.
And it really, it that, and I went ahead and told, you know, told them that, and they were like, this is why they play music, for compliments like that. So this is why we do things like Darkness Calling, why we do these collectives, is to show our appreciation. So, and just the love, share the love in the music. It's not for anything. You could say, Jay, it's not like you're like, oh, I want this for money. You can always tell when
No,
someone's like,
and
I
that's the
want
thing.
this for money.
I don't make any money at all from Darkness Call. Any
Stay.
money that I make is given to the Trevor Project or to mutual aid efforts. Because at the end of the day, I am in a position where I can help people. And guess what? That's what I'm going to use my platform for, is to help people.
That's what we are supposed to do as goth, the weird, and the connected.
Thank
Come on
you.
now.
Exactly. Be better, people. Be better. Come
Be
on.
better. And plus, if you really were like, oh, that'll turn us on more than anything. Okay. I'm just
Yes.
saying, at least me. If
Yes.
you're a good
I'm like, you like to
person,
help people, girl?
I
Okay.
am into it. Like,
Yes. I'm
you
like,
know,
oh, you like mutual aid? Yes.
oh, let's talk some
Yes.
more. Slide into my DMs.
Yes.
Like,
I'm like, you like help people and you're a socialist? Oh, get
oh,
over here.
right.
Help
Give
me.
me the socialist. Can you believe there are goths that are like, I can't.
Capitalist.
Yes. Well, you live in LA, you know.
I know. I'm like, ew.
And that's
True.
one of the things that I'm finding up here, is that, you know, when I go to the coffee club and I put down my $50 for 2 tickets for a show, I know for sure it's going straight to the fucking band. It's not going, even though a coffee club, it's like, again, community. They make their money, but the everything that goes into like the tickets goes to the bands, and I
Yeah.
fucking love that. It's not this percentage bullshit. That's why I'm like, I will fund a band coming up here
Oh,
at you
same.
know, I will
Same.
fund it, because I know that it's all going towards them. And that's why I want to talk more about Stranger Lovers. They're the ones I'm focused on. Let's bring them to the West Side.
Hell yes. I am here for it. Yes. Yes.
So, Jay, this has been fucking fantastic. I
It has
adore you
been.
even
Oh
more.
my God. I love this. You are the best. I am so honored. Oh my God, this has
I'm
been amazing.
honored. But stay tuned for some music clips from Malice Miser, Blood Handsome, The Creatures, and my favorite, Matt Black, with the song Pure. Be sure to follow all of these bands on Spotify and let them know you heard it from Michelle Halloween and Jay from Darkness Calling.